Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Clover, and for this video, we're going to be jumping in some of my gameplay that I played just this past weekend. If you got a keen eye, you might have noticed that I've switched to PC, given the fact that I have a cursor, or maybe this N options or mouse icon thing. So in the midst of that, you're probably going to see some mechanical mishaps, but that's not really the point of this video I'm trying to make. It's this VOD review thing I'm trying to make into a series is all about the game sense side of things. So mechanics aren't really a factor. I really want to focus on the positioning, the more of the interactions, and especially for ball, the setup, the scouting, the different engages and when to engage, etc., etc. What I'm trying to achieve in the series going forward is to be more of a theoretical type VOD review. Not like, obviously I'll showcase my blunders and what I could have done better, but more for if I did a good play, even if I did probably the best possible play, I want to showcase the different alternatives that you could do to also get some value as well. So I'm kind of trying to lean towards that. And also importantly, I want to do it from a perspective that I'm playing from. I don't want to be in third person just saying, hey, why didn't I go for this person in the corner? Because from my perspective, I didn't see that person in that corner. So that's what I'm trying to do, so that it's more of a better learning experience for you guys to see from your actual perspective and the decisions that follow from what you see. So let's jump right into it. To give some backstory of this match, we're taking this from, this is after my placement. So I placed like 2200, so it took me about 10-ish hours to reach diamond. It's just because I'm, figuring out buttons is still hard. But yeah, this is, in this particular one, it's a 2940 or something, one of my later games. And it's on Dorado, obviously, against a Sombra player. So with this particular episode, I want to focus on how to avoid the hacks and how to still get value, how to get some value to avoid the hacks, and also how to better position yourself so that you could survive these hacks. So that's kind of the scope of this video. But now that we're starting this session off, let's look at my team comp, because that's the very first information we get. And so looking at our tank line, we have Reinhardt, Ball. Now they honestly don't have any synergy whatsoever. They're just both pretty solid tanks as is. But with no synergy means that I don't have a dive partner, as in a Winston, and I don't have, the Reinhardt doesn't have a Zarya to help enable his aggression, which throughout this guide, you'll notice this Reinhardt is very, very aggressive, to say the least. Looking at the support line, we have Ana, who is the best healer for a hero like me, a flanker. That way she can heal me from a safe distance, not be in the fray, and enables me to stay up longer around a cart, which is maybe not in this game, but just in future games, that if she's from a range, she can even nano boost me and I can stall cart and wait for my team to regroup. So she's just overall the best, but also with her anti-nade. That's probably the most important cooldown of them all, just because the anti-nade, dealing the 60 damage initially, plus my scoop and poop, which is 150, makes it so that I can, maybe with a few bullets and a melee here and there, kill any 200 HP squishy. Mercy doesn't really support Ball. She doesn't really want to face tank like I'm about to do. But she's not a liability unlike a Zenyatta. So in certain games I have been more of a peel tank playstyle, just because the Zenyatta plays into dive, so counter diving is the way to go. But not in this one. This one's all about Sombra. So she's very evasive, so I don't really have to worry about her. Thinking about her DPS lineup being poke heroes. With Soldier, is not a sniper, not trying to go for picks. or a Tracer Sombra Genji who are diving with me. So he's just going to be dealing consistent damage. And also Torbjorn with his turret and shooting out his Cheetos, consistent damage. So yeah, this is kind of a very pokey DPS lineup, which means I want to, depending on the team comp, just force the enemies, slow down the enemies with my boops, and enable them to shoot the shields and do all this bunch of damage so that they bleed resources. And that's kind of our main objective. I won't get to the enemy team comp until a little bit later because I want to do it from my perspective, because it takes me about like until 322 or something like that before I actually see the comps. So, and by the way, 345 is when when tab works, and so you can see the enemy team comp, just as an FYI. But I just want to hark on this, or emphasize on this fact that I'm playing from my perspective. So maybe in a later VOD review, you'll see me die early, and it's just because I didn't know there was this particular hero. So I just want to try and get that drilled, I guess, in your heads. I don't know what else to say. Alright, here we go. So I'm doing my scouting initially. I know they have the Ana. I know now they have Genji, who's right above me. Moira, and D.Va and Ryan. So I know those heroes. I don't know what the 6th hero is, who may be like lurking in a window or something. So it could be Kree. Knowing that fact, and also just Ana itself, like if a Kree wasn't part of the equation, the sleep is one of those stuns that could potentially just insta-kill you, so I want to avoid that. So, if you notice, I'm waiting to slam. If this is kind of this line here, I want to slam here. The reason being is that my Ana can still get shoot darts into me and heal me up if I get into any sort of trouble. If I slam here, I lose that LOS, and I don't have that extra support to help me get out of that situation. So I want to play the safest role possible and just slam somewhere on this side of this choke, wherever it may be. So as you see, when I find the right target, I slam, and then shield, get out. Now if I was faster at this, I could have actually went for another fast engage. Just because my shield's 820, I can still go for that engage and feel safe. I just have to get in and get out again within 2 seconds, otherwise my shields disappear. So if I was a little cleaner with my movement, I could have went for another drive-by, but as you can see with my ult charge here, 24% already. That's huge. Like, super fast. That's why Ball can farm up minefield so fast, is just by going for these big slams. So always look to do those whenever possible. You just, depending on the team comp, might have to avoid those, and especially with Sombra, you might have to do more drive-bys and slams, which is unfortunate, but that's the only way you can get value without dying, because your life is really important in this game. Trying to do a drive-by, but I think this becomes a common theme with me. This is one of those habits I have still. I don't think it's necessarily a horrible thing that I'm doing right now, because our team is surrounding them and I'm just completing the pincer by shooting them from behind. And our Reinhardt's pinning in, so they're all focused on him. But you don't want to be out in the open. Any reason why? Well, I think it should be very simple. If you're out in the open, what happens is that they can all look at you, a Kree can stun you, and they can just evaporate you. But if you're behind this cover, not only does it make it harder, another example, if Roadhog tries to hook, potentially I could just slip right past this corner and break that hook. So things like that are very important. Also, another example, if I'm here, the Kree notices me first, stuns me, and I'm here, what's the LOS of the enemy team? Because if I'm stunned right around that corner, they can't see me. And so they can't follow up on that flashbang. You see what I mean? So That's another thing you have to really focus on. So this type of engagement, not necessarily horrible in this circumstance. Ana really being the only CC hero who can like stun me in my place. At least Sombra, I can walk around in my crab legs, which I'll get to a little bit later as well. So after the pin, follow up on the Ana kill. Another drive-by. Already 50% of my ult charge. And, I mean, I'm in no real danger, so I'm just stalling cart. Play the objective right here. And again, if my movement is better, I could potentially slam that Moira. There's also one thing I should point out. If we go back just a little bit, no, forward, back. If I get out of this view, you'll notice that the Moira gets out with actually like 5 HP. And if there's a team comms, if I was in comms, I could actually just slam that Moira right off this ledge, which is way easier than trying to slam with a Reinhardt who's hammering me, so my movement's getting messed up on this cart, and then slam. So if I was in comms, which I'm not, I could have slammed here. I kind of do this like little challenge thing. It's what makes the game a little more fun, is where you can have success while also having a disability. So that's kind of my reason for not being in team comms, as horrible as that may sound. So just something to point out there. Obviously, I'm coming from my perspective, so I wouldn't have seen her anyways. Farming ult, nothing too crazy. My Reinhardt's still coming back, right? So I'm just trying to just stall time before it gets to this bridge. This is a very vital choke, especially for me. I don't really want to give up that space, because if they come here, where can I slam from safely? Like here? Well, they can all see me when I slam. So I just don't have the best engage options from here. And then if I just maintain that space, which I have been, as the cart rolls through this choke, it just makes it a much better engage for me, because I can just scoop and then ride up right here and get my value while also being safe. So that's the name of the game right here. Play safe and get value. Little drive-by. Not slamming on top of them. Like, I'm not slamming first then grappling out. I'm grappling first, then slamming, because that Ana, if she times her dart well, she can sleep me right in their side of the choke. I don't want to end up on their side of the choke. So I do that slam, or the grapple first, and then slam later, just to avoid that fact, but I still get my, what is that? That's my scoop and poop maneuver. Almost have minefield too. No Sombra means that I can just go aggressive. That's another thing that I made a mistake on. Right here. There's nothing too fancy about this, but I think it's very important that you guys understand that as ball, having your angles, your cover is super important. Because if this Ana slept me earlier, I could just be sitting here for 6 seconds doing nothing. So temporarily, they would be it would be a 5-on-5, and I think I thought my Reinhardt was still coming back from respawns, but he's not. So it'd be a 5-on-5 situation. Maybe the Reinhardt turns around for some reason and pins me. So it's very important that I stay in this cover here, because it makes a sleep dart harder. And if I do get slept, the follow-up is not as severe. Or even maybe here too. And also, bad mines. 2 bad things in a row. They're not necessarily horrible, but they're not reaching its maximum potential. Because these minefields, these mines here, what do they accomplish? They don't really accomplish much, because all it's doing is stalling or zoning off this side, which the enemy is not. So I'm not splitting, nor am I trying to minefield on top of, let's say, this Reinhardt's head. I'm not doing any of those. I'm not even putting on cart so they can't push it. It's like they can push and then clear out these mines. So these mines were not so good. But, I mean, the Genji turns around, does his thing, and, you know, we get that pick there. And then my Reinhardt, if you did see that play, by the way. Yeah. So yeah, that was what my Reinhardt was doing this entire game. This is why I like to emphasize that your life is so important, because when you have players who... It's kind of like, in this situation, it's a 6.5 versus 6. Because the Reinhardt is still at least active. He's not sitting around AFK. He's still active, but he's not all there, which means he's probably feeding all charge and, you know, all the negative stuff that you don't really want dying to. So if you can play your life in these games, then it's really good. Here's one thing that's really important against the Sombra matchup. This is the first time we actually really talk about the Sombra, because the Sombra doesn't really deal with me until a little bit later on second point. So after I destroyed the translocator and discovered her, I immediately want to target the Sombra. If I'm shooting the Sombra, she can't hack me, obviously, because I interrupt it. And so if I go for the Sombra right away, she doesn't have that escape option to get her out of that situation, which means I can freely win that fight. Now, unfortunately, I didn't interrupt her hack on that med pack, so immediately I know that I can't kill her because that thing produces a lot of health packs. And if my movement was better, I probably could have got her there earlier, and if it was a better team, I would have died. Just shooting the Sombra, no big deal. I know she's almost at ult, so feeding her is not out of the extraordinary. She hacks me. Now, again, just going back to the fact that you want to be in positions where you're safe. And so in that case, I was hacked, but how are they going to follow up onto me? Because I'm not in the midst of the team. And so I'm out of line of sight, and I can just use my crab legs to, if need be, retreat a little bit more. This time, fortunately, they don't have a lot of CC to really kill me, but that hack could have killed me because I was kind of in the wide open there. And then I just clean up from here. Down 2, and at this point, I know that they have a few ultimates, but yet do I know that they have 6, so I have to regroup because I'm 158 HP. I can't engage with that type of HP. And Sombra, just because of her passive, she could also see me. That's why she followed me up here, is because she actually saw me because I was below half HP. Which is her passive, if you didn't know. So that's why she's holding out her hand right now. But interrupt that, force her off with my bullets. And actually, could have killed her, but movement again. Subpar. So this is where we get into where the Sombra starts heavily targeting me, where she just waits for me and holds her hand up. They did use 3 ults to cap that point, so I know we have a better ult economy moving forward. Ult tracking is something that I've kind of fallen out of because you get so into games that you kind of forget about what ults are coming up where. Especially, like, I've noticed some games where Genji is just poking my Roadhog and he gets blades way faster than I think, when I should kind of take a little bit of, I guess, put more brain power into kind of understanding what's going on around me and not necessarily what I'm trying to accomplish. So that's something that is more of a learned thing. I've kind of just, like, naturally through my years of playing this, I've learned the ult cycle, and so I know, like, okay, Zarya gets her ult in 1.5 fights or something like that. So I kind of understand the intuition aspect of things, but it's very important that you all track. So that's a good example of good mines, just because it covers a point. The Ana dived, probably used a nade because of it. And then next I'm going after the Moira. That's the next highest priority target, and I know she uses Fade. Now the thing about communication is that I use the scroll wheel, so I still communicate, but I'm not, like, actually physically talking, which would be very helpful, honestly. If I could just say, hey, go here, or this guy's on me. That's all you need. Okay, setting up. Just doing a little bit of scouting. Now they have Zarya. The main difference between Zarya and D.Va. D.Va can at least control high grounds, and so if my Kree wanted to come high ground, she can potentially boop her off and at least duel her, much like a ball could. So with the D.Va, they don't have that extra potential space control, if you will, where they can control certain areas of the map just because of D.Va's presence and her ability to force people off with her stats in general. So Zarya, on the other hand, has a little bit less peel potential. She does have the projected barrier, but likely she's going to throw it onto her Reinhardt. And what that basically means is that now that the enemy Reinhardt has more resources to work with, it's more of an emphasis on me trying to boop the enemy Reinhardt back, or at least messing up with the enemy supports as much as possible, so that they're distracted onto me and not healing their tank line. And that way we can get an advantage from that way. But it is, again, dealing with Sombra. So let's just see how it plays out. Reinhardt pins in. And now that they're all distracted, my Reinhardt's playing the ball disruptor. Took the Zarya out just because she's looking at me instead of anyone else, but because they used ults, they're winning it. So just trying to do a little drive-bys. Obviously I didn't get anyone there, and just waiting on some ults here. Step off the point, that's really unfortunate. I kind of feel like I was close there, but I think what I wanted to point out, I do die eventually. What I do want to point out is this other decision I could have made. I wanted to focus the Ana so that the Ana would look away and hopefully look at me during this slam so that she could heal her team, but I think that was not the best play I could have made. Because also they're antied. So I think a better play is for me to immediately... Just hold on, let me go back just a little bit more. See, I'm focusing the Ana. This is when I hear that sound cue, I should immediately go in, but I continue shooting. If I went in, I could have killed this Moira potentially because she's antied, and also done damage to the Ana as well. So I could have actually did more value if I went in for a slam. And also stall the cart. But you get to this point where I step off the cart just for a second and they claim it. Actually, yeah. So moving on to third point. Not a very good ball map, or third point at least is not very good for ball. Look at this Reinhardt. Just because what are my different setup spots? Like here, not really doing too much. You can do this like window and just drive by here, or maybe up here, maybe in this med pack here, and just wait for people to come up. Or if not, if they go low ground, I can do a scoop and poop, something of that essence, or maybe just go on my side of the choke and slam here. Those are some other different defense options, but all of them are pretty bad because if the enemy team comes through these stairs and comes here, well then what am I supposed to do? I can't win a 6v5, and also it's just kind of hard for my team to support me. I'm not saying that's not like a legitimate factor, because it's not really a thing. They can still see me, but it's just harder for them to follow up on my cooldowns, I think I should have said. But as you see, I know this is scree, and then go for the slam, and hate to see it. So yeah, those are the different slam or setup spots, but nothing I could have done. This is an example of a good minefield. You know why? We're down in numbers currently, right? Like we have our Mercy and Reinhardt back here. And so these mines aren't necessarily to get kills. Eventually what happens is that we do get a kill, because I did split the Zarya there. But more or less, these mines were to force them back and delay time so that our spawners can regroup. And maybe if their respawners, their Kree, is slow enough, we could win that fight. 6v5. We invest the Molten Core, and that just solidifies that fight. We honestly probably didn't need Molten Core, but I mean, I like the aggressiveness, the willingness to be active and try and go for try and clean up a fight. Because at the end of the day, like, these objectives are based on time, not on whether or not you get the kills or not. It's about time. So if you can stall time, then that's kind of the precursor to you winning. Obviously, if you get kills, that just delays them because they have to respawn to refight. So that's how time factors into this. It's not necessarily kills, it's the time that you lose from them. Just thought I'd say that. Now I'm setting up here, and my biggest counter dies. Knowing that we have a player advantage, I want to go in, but the Korean notices me, so I take a quick detour before I go right back into it. Drive by and kind of isolate there's a Kree there. I don't think it does too much, but I think just the fact that I got the whatchamacallit, the nano boost, just made everyone fear for me. And then my Ana landed that huge anti-nade, so congrats, Ana. You carried that. Kind of looking for translocator here, but didn't find it. I'm looking at my own little med pack there, if you didn't know. Still nothing. Down our Reinhardt again. This is pivotal. That word. And you know why? Because later down the fight, right now I'm at 94% ult charge. That slam right there was more or less to, I don't know, just do something. It wasn't going to do anything. And actually it was more of a risk because I do get slept and hacked. But I slammed pretty close to cover and no one's following up on me, so I can get out of this and grab that med pack. So the reason why that grav is so important for them to use it that late, at least for us, why it was good for us, is because, yeah, even though they got that Torbjorn, they use grav is much used as a cleanup fight. winning ultimate. That made sense. And they used it kind of to secure a fight that leads into them controlling the point. It didn't win them the fight. The point's over here, and you need a cap here. So what happened is that when they use Grav, they lost that ability to finish a fight right away. I mean, they do have EMP, but that Sombra died, if I remember correctly. The Sombra died? I know, the Sombra's over here. Right, she hacked me. I remember now. So, despite that, they lost one of their ultimates. If they didn't have Sombra, they lost that finishing ultimate that they would have really liked to just kind of zone them off by putting the Grav here. So, that's very good for me. The only thing I do understand or realize now, as I'm looking at this after the fact, is that the EMP could hack my mind. So maybe the EMP would have been better instead of the Grav. I'm not really too sure about that. Both of them are very fight winning, so either way, if we got one of them forced out, that's really good for our team. So yeah, they didn't cap the point yet. The point's over here. They just got control of the cart, and now they have to push it forward, and that enables me to use my mines as a delay tactic, and then I can just spin to win. Maybe even isolate a target. So I'm kind of waiting for my moment. I know that my team's not coming back. I noticed my Rhine. Now this might be my only chance to actually get some picks, and hopefully our defender's advantage overwhelms them, because I know... Okay, my Reinhardt didn't charge in yet, but he's about to. I think. Maybe not. So I guess I just got the Kree. I want to look that back. I didn't really know what happened there. So I got the Kree just by placing on top of the cart, right on top of their heads. And now I'm just stalling cart. And then right away, grabbing spawn heals. Fastest healer in the game. Best burst healing. Focusing the Sombra. This is very important for stalling. You want to really focus that Sombra. That way she hopefully translocates. And if she does, that means you have a temporary man advantage. What that also does is makes it so that you're not susceptible to that hack by disrupting it. And that becomes really important because now I have my adaptive shields. Imagine if I got hacked here. I did get hacked and I didn't use shields. Oh, I think I remember this. Yeah, I was like really upset that... And also I was trying to go for something. I was really upset that my scroll wheel wasn't really working. And so, because that's how I activate my shields, is that I use my scroll wheel. So that's also one thing about consoles. I'm going to have really weird keybinds. So yeah, I remember I was trying to get my shields off, but they didn't go off. Alright, on offense. Let's get here. Yeah, this is going to be a very free-flowing episode for sure. Hope you guys don't mind. I'm just kind of doing what I think in the moment. I haven't like taken notes, and I think later on I probably should take notes. That way it makes it more of a better presentation. But I think this will do for now. These are way easier videos to make than doing my guides. The 1 hour Wrecking Ball guide really took it out of me for a bit. Not gonna lie. Alright, here we go. So, just remembering from last time, I know they have a Sombra, so I'm very cautious because of that. At least I'm just guessing at that point. And they kept the Zarya. So now they have actually a full brawl. And if they wanted to, they can rush. I don't think they do that. They don't have the coordination. This is plat. So I don't think you'll see it from here. Yeah. And also, we do have... what's his face? We have a Zen. That was just kind of me forcing out cooldowns, but he ended up dying because he stepped into a line of sight. Kree got the last little burst damage to finish the kill. But all I was trying to do was force the healing station, and that way I could re-engage onto him without that cooldown being a factor. That was kind of my thought process on that. That's one of learning interactions when you're a flank or dual hero like Ball or Tracer or anyone of that sort. Knowing cooldowns, what can potentially make it super hard for you to win the fight, or maybe just make you lose immediately like a lamp would, Baptiste lamp. So just kind of knowing those and trying to force them out first before you go in these engages is really valuable concept. So now I'm just setting up. I think I was about to say something, but I lost my train of thought. So now I'm setting up, and that's just unlucky. Shields go off too, but I try to re-engage, but the Sombra is just holding her hand up. So lesson learned. We won't do that again, I think. That was a very safe slam, slammed on our side of the choke, and already at practically 70% now. Just a simple scoop and poop, but it's a scoop and poop that leads into our end of things. My idea with me sticking around, I could have easily rolled away, and that would have been a way safer option. But if I would have got that Moira, her spawn is way over here, right? So if I take out that Moira, she dies, I'm a fast hero, and her spawn is closer. So that's just a net positive for us if I got that. Plus, it's a healer too. And their only other support is the Lucio, who, if they're all grouped together, does do a significant amount of healing, but they won't be, because plat. So that was kind of my thought process on that. Now, I'm just grabbing med packs. And then just trying to run away from people so I don't farm ult charge off of anyone. Save my shields. Mine's on point. All I did is just force them off. Not ideal. They kind of escaped that pretty easily. But it does offer me an opportunity to go for the soldier here when I roll back onto a high ground. And a bad gauge, a good thing that I didn't just continue moving forward. When I had that bad engage, all I did was just become a frontlining soldier with 600 HP. So I didn't put myself in that in harm's way by going in a little bit deeper, so I could maybe have a better flank angle or something. I don't know. See me mess this up one more time. Okay, now we have a Pharah. That doesn't really affect too much because it's still a poke hero, and I can hear the Sombra who's just holding her hand up. So we are down players, which means I kind of have to wait for our team to regroup right now. And they're using ults. In fact, they use 3 ults, so I'm just farming ult. I'm totally fine with them using 3 ults, and I'm just farming. Nano Boost makes me virtually invincible. And you know what? I actually kind of want to see what happened there. There we go. Okay, so what happened here? Did the Junkrat go silly on him? What I did was good. I finished off, I punished this Lucio for just kind of wall riding. The Nano Boost also just made that certain. And then, despite me getting hacked and soldier shooting at me, the 50% damage reduction is just makes me immortal. And I have shields, so that's why Ana's really good for ball. So Junkrat. By the way, our Ana is also landing the nastiest of nades, which means that Junkrat could finish targets off really easily. I could have, a little maximization, I could have let my supports heal me, but it is what it is. Nothing too, like, you shouldn't have done that. Slap on the wrist, but now it's just last regroup. I am kind of worried that they're going to really heavily commit on this, but they're not, which is really good for us, because that means we can control this second point really. We can control this second point and get some decent progress onto it. Okay, now I'm going to set up on high ground. I hear the soldier do this loop-de-loop thing. Soldier already used heal station. Mechanics! There we go. Got the pick. Easy duel. I have mines. And they're down one, so I really want to go in. And actually, I don't even have to use mines. So I saved mines for another fight. Just because our Creed got 2 with the high noon. I think that all starts with the fact that not only are we snowballing with our ultimates, but just that one pick is the precursor for us winning because they just don't have that consistent damage from that soldier. Take out the translocator, immediately go for Sombra. She's an easy target without her escape because she doesn't have that reliability. Saved a couple bullets for that Sombra there. This is kind of funny. Just denying that health pack, I'm just being a nuisance. Try to go up there, but missed. Yeah. So yeah, we're just snowballing with ults at this point, so there's nothing really I have to say. I haven't done a proper engage yet. Like, and then mine's to cap it all off, so 3-3, heading into the next round. Yeah, we just snowballed at the end. Nothing I can really say, besides my team was just very active with their ults. They wanted to use ults whenever we could, and that way it just gave us an advantage, and their team never really had time to breathe. So another one of those things that use your ults when you don't know the fight's decided, or use ults to get an advantage, right? That's kind of the whole purpose of ults, is they swing fights. Little tip of the trade there. Different setup location. Is it valid? It could work. That's all I can say. You don't get the slam potential, but I was just predicting a Sombra here, so if I could just get a sneaky drive-by, because who sets up here, right? Most people like to set up on there just for the slam part of it, just so you can farm up ult. But otherwise, this is good if it's Sombra. I'm predicting it. Of course, they don't have it when you look at it. I'll only know that about 15 seconds in, so that's like what, 34 seconds is when tab works. All right, back into it. Okay, Doomfist is out of the fight, trying to take advantage of that. I was looking for him at that moment, but he went low ground for some reason. And now that I know their team comp, I've seen everyone. I didn't need to press tab on that instance. I know what they have. They have the kind of bunker style. So they're trying to bunker with the Torb turret. And their only CC is Doomfist and on a sleep. So mindful of the sleep always. That one's a very, very deadly one just because it disables you for 6 seconds. So the Honor can just say, group up with me, and, you know, the rest is history. But Doomfist is the next one, but he's trying to use his cooldowns on offense. He's not trying to stun me, at least in this instance. If a Doomfist does solely target you, you're just going to have to play a little more passive in spots where you can just assist yourself, have a retreat, just like almost every other CC hero, just because that he can just dump all of his cooldowns and get his cooldowns way faster than you can. So just take advantage of your routes, try and find your mega packs, and that's how you kind of survive around Doomfist. You want to keep your distance. That's basically it. Surprised I didn't die there. A little bit greedy trying to go for the turret. Definitely greedy. Ryan's kind of isolated, but I'm a little worried because I am 300 HP. And now the opportunity for better slam engage. And look at my shields. Like, even though I was 300 HP, the only reason why I can live this is that I've got support from my team, and also I've got shields. In my everything guide, I said it's a little bit risky going for the 300 when you're 300 HP going for a slam, just because the shields may not be enough. They don't have stuns necessarily, so I can avoid this whole kerfuffle. So it's very good for me. That's the only way I can live through this. And then just little drive-bys. I'm distracting the Ana. Just very simple drive-bys. And now, after all that time, minefield, slam, destroy the shields, get the Torbjorn pick, do a little loop-de-loop. And now we have the numbers advantage. It's about closing it out now. Distracting the Ana. Temporarily, I wish I didn't get slept, but if I would have distracted that Ana, lived that sleep, then that would have cleaned up things faster. But again, Ana coming in clutch, getting that anti-nade, enabled us to clean up super easily. So what I did there, very basic stuff. I just went in, knowing that they don't have like very hard CC, unless the Doomfist really wants to focus me. Knowing that they don't have very hard CC, I can just do whatever I want. The team comp has changed quite a bit, but it's still practically the same thing. We have a pokey comp. The only thing is our backline got a little bit more vulnerable with Zen. But it's last fight. We know like the payload didn't go very far, so we can go a little bit more greedy and just kind of ult dump and win one fight, and then we can cap and finish off whatchamacallit, the checkpoint. Golden box of victory. A little setup here, get a little roundabout on a drop for some reason. Okay. And because she dropped, she died. So, make my job easier. Another key cooldown. Torbjorn used his overload. Now that he doesn't have that, he doesn't have that extra 100 over armor. And since they're down Ana, take advantage of that for slam. Now they have absolutely no sustain, so my next engage is the finisher. And there we go. That's how it's done. That's how you win against Sombra. I played a little more defensively, I definitely... I don't like this screen. Why is it going black? I can't see. Yeah, like against Sombra, you just... Especially this type of Sombra who likes to hold their hand out. She only had 2 playstyles where she either waited for me to do something. I don't like this screen. She either waited for me to go in for an engage, but I never fully committed. I only did drive-bys, which means she didn't have enough time to cast her hack. So with that's kind of the main thing. Once there's a Sombra on the field and you're a ball, you don't ever want to slam, at least in front of her. Like if she translocates and you know she's far away, she's respawning or something, that's when you can go for big engages, because that's a huge pressure relieved from you. And that way you can go full aggro for the most part. Kree or honestly can change that, but that's one of the hard counters towards you. And so just doing little drive-bys there is it's kind of how you counter Sombra. And then also when you go in for engages, if you ever do get hacked, you're in positions where you can retreat easily. So again, corners, even if it's not like a very good corner, like imagine if I got, I don't know, hacked here and the enemy team's pushing up. If I got hacked here, what they have to do is turn around and peek here, because if they can't see me from here, they can only see me from here. And so that's kind of the key part about cover, is that you just kind of block their LOS, which is a very important tool for not just ball, but for every hero. So that said, hope you guys enjoyed. I plan to do many more of these. I think, I don't know. Let me know if you want more of a planned one. I'll probably do a planned and or maybe even just this free-flowing one and see what you guys like more. I think the planned one, the scripted one, will be more of, how do I word it? I guess it's, the planned one will just be more presentational and more thorough on what's actually like valid, what I'm saying is true. But I think for the most part, what I'm saying makes sense to a high level, at least. I don't know. Maybe I'll get flamed later on. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. See you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.